Cyberpunk 2077 has a huge variety of ways you can play. Different combinations of cyberware you can install, varying weapon types. Every combat scenario can be dealt with in a multitude of ways. The problem is that when creating a new build, the fastest and most simple way to acquire the necessary equipment is simply by buying it. Obviously, however, this comes with the caveat that your Cyberpunk bank account is then always going to make you feel like a student. I myself have struggled with this issue, both in real life as a student and in the past whilst playing Cyberpunk. Making all those various build guide videos for you did not come cheap, believe me. But whilst I discovered a magical PC exclusive feature known as console commands, which by the way is legitimately the only way I'm able to make 2 videos a week as opposed to 1 a month, this video today will aim to solve, or at any rate lessen, the whole buying things for money issue without cheating. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, today, just because it's Christmas, I'm going to be sharing with you 25 free gifts, which can all be discovered scattered about Night City and beyond. These range from legendary weapons, cyberware and mods to vehicles and even just some cool Easter eggs which you may appreciate. So grab some of whatever you drink at Christmas, sit back and relax as we discover and unwrap 25 free gifts in Cyberpunk 2077. Let's get into it. Getting into the spirit of Christmas straight away, let's start off by getting some revenge. Or perhaps let's call it poetic justice. Out in the southern Badlands, amidst the Wally-esque piles of trash, we can find the body of the man who killed us, Dexter DeShawn, and more importantly, his gun. Plan B, the very weapon that was used to shoot us in the head and kick off the whole Johnny Silverhand relic saga. Ironically, whilst the gun itself is evidently free, being able to use it is not. In fact, rather than costing traditional bullets, this gun costs 1 eddy per shot. Hence the name, Plan B, since it can still be used after you've run out of traditional bullets. Just don't go broke on the money front, and you can rest assured that this gun will always be loaded with ammo. Free to acquire, but costs you every time you want to actually use it. Sounds like every free-to-play game ever made. For our next gift, we want to head over here on the map to Pinewood Junction. Not a UK film studio in this case, unfortunately, but rather something of an industrial estate. Fortunately, however, it seems somebody has left a rather important crate of cargo outside the secluded building right here. Inside, we can find the legendary crafting spec for the Pacifier weapon mod. Now this will give your weapon an extra 7% crit damage, making those very special, powerful hits even more special. Hell, seeing as it's a crafting spec, why not craft one for all of your friends as well? At 23, we have a fittingly placed gift of knowledge. Come into the city centre and pay a visit to the memorial of the first Arasaka tower. Inside, we can experience the once-in-a-lifetime tour of a few piles of rubble. However, one thing that may be of more interest is this door here, which we cannot enter without the right code in the keypad. Well, I can tell you right now, the code is 2023, same as the year the first Arasaka tower fell. Inside, we get a slightly lower vantage point on the pile of rubble on display, as well as a couple glass panels of names. Now, as far as I'm aware, these are the names of developers who worked on the game. Some have theorised some secret code exists within the layout of these names, possibly connected to FF06B5, but honestly, I think just about anything could be connected to that mystery at this point, and I have a video planned for the future to explore all the known details. For now though, whether just a cool Easter egg or part of something greater, I hope you enjoy your time in this neat little room. Leaving the heartland of Night City aristocracy now, let's head over to Jig Street. Now, you may need the reinforced tendons or fortified ankles to reach this next one. If we make our way onto the rooftops Assassin's Creed style, we'll come out across a little hidden shack up here. Weird place to hang out, I know. Inside lies a spiked baseball bat and a dead man. Reading the archived conversation on his corpse confirms that he was beaten to death by a member of the Mox known as Patty's son. Turns out, this dude Norris Stones was recording some of the more adult goings-on of Jig Street, and selling the clips on for money. Patty didn't take too kindly to seeing her friends exploited, found the guy's hideout, and murdered him to death. Whilst the baseball bat is a decent free gift contender in and of itself, and perfect for all Negan cosplayers, what we're really up here today for is the Protective Layer Fixer Pants. Legendary quality and offering a 25% reduction to explosion damage. Now, considering the nature of what Norris was recording, I can only imagine the type of explosion he was protecting himself from. In fact, another look at the body seems to imply not even 25% was enough protection for him. Ah well, perhaps they'll come in handy later, when we're in the Basilisk tank with Panam. Did you by chance get Cyberpunk for Christmas this year? Well, this one's for all the early gamers out there. Lizzie's Bar is a place you'll be frequenting a lot early in the game. And no, not for that reason, get your mind out of the gutter. Actually, don't, because that's where we're going to find our next free gift. By coming around to the side of Lizzie's, as I do here, and climbing our way up into the guttering, I know I make use of double jump here, but I don't think that's necessary. At the end are 2 boxes of rare level loot. A muzzle brake? Nice, but the more exciting one as far as I'm concerned is the Combat Amplifier crafting spec. This is a neat little mod which can increase a weapon's ability to apply status effects, i.e. bleeding, burn, shock and poison by 5%. Now, when you're early in the game, you may not have many weapon mods to choose from, so this is a nice option to have for a bit of an edge in combat. Next, we want to head over to Kerry Eurodyne's house. Now, while spending Christmas in a mansion with a rocker boy legend sounds like one hell of a party, we're here for free gifts, which we're going to acquire from next door, in the Arasaka residence. Now, depending on which ending you chose, you may end up heading this way naturally during your playthrough, but there's nothing to say you can't head over there anyway. On the ground floor inside the office, we can find a legendary Genjiroh smart pistol. I covered guns like this in my lazy build video, but basically they remove the challenge of aiming, yet still somehow manage to retain the satisfaction of successful shots. This one also increases electrical damage and shock, so it's great for robots too. Also in the Arasaka residence, you're going to want to head up to the rooftop bar, under which we can find an epic cyberware mod of some kind. It was an overclocked processor for me this time, but other times it's been something else. Whatever the case, an epic cyberware mod is definitely worth picking up, and even if not useful to your build, will still fetch some decent eddies. On that note, sorry if anything on this list is a different item to what I mentioned. Some boxes offer randomized loot whilst others are fixed, and it's hard to tell which is which. What's more, I kinda think the devs have even changed specific loot drops over the years, which makes researching to double check this stuff even more difficult. Regardless, even if you don't get exactly the item I mention here, each of the locations should still offer some decent loot of the same level, so they're still defo worth checking out. Hell, you might even get something better than what I did. I'm sure your parents always told you that Father Christmas, or Santa Claus for my 40% American audience, only gives gifts to children who are good. What they may not have mentioned, however, is that if you're very bad, and I mean very, very bad, Father Christmas will instead break into your house and take your favourite things away. Unfortunately, since the North Pole has most likely melted by the time of Cyberpunk 2077, it's up to us to continue the legacy of the red-bearded man. In the office of Fingers Ripperdoc Clinic lays what is evidently this very bad man's pride and joy. A club named Cottonmouth. Tipped with the head of a snake, it deals both electrical and poison damage, and now it's ours. Because, as I mentioned, Fingers has been very bad this year, and we're doing exactly what Father Christmas would have wanted by taking away his favourite toy. Except now I can't buy the TNT Mark IV or the Epic Fortified Ankles, but that's fine. This is a free gifts video, we're not buying stuff. Over at the bottom of Little China, tucked in just off the road, is a curious incident of the drones in the nighttime. Looks like this guy named Clippy scavenged some drones from out of the sky and cleverly decided to tamper with them. After stupidly removing the safety features, the drones evidently turned on their new master. Shame for Clippy, but lucky for us, we can now swoop in here and grab a couple nice things. An engineering skill shard, very nice, several rare item components, useful, and best of all, a rare Shingen smart submachine gun. As I've already said, smart guns are awesome, and the great thing about this one being smart is that recoil isn't really much of a problem, since you're not really having to aim anyway. Even awesomer that. Down in the city centre subway station is a thievery gig, and packed with decent level loot throughout. What we're here for, however, is right the way down on the lowest floor in possibly the nicest looking chest we're gonna see all video. Now, I got a reinforced ballistic vest, kindly donated by the NCPD, though I'd wager you might get something different here. Either way, what I'm also excited about on this occasion is the decent amount of Eurodollars stashed in here. An excellent bonus for sure. Whatever the case, you might as well head down here for this little gift anyway, as it'll make the next one feel that much more rewarding. And here's just a little example of how the Comrade's hammer ignores walls, and combining it with ping, you can too. Check out my Revolvers Ranked video for more on this insane gun. Let's go on a nice little break from fighting and killing and head across the street to the Night City Centre for Behavioural Health. Inside is a sound we don't hear very often at all. That's right, birds, wildlife, nature. It's all happening here in these two rooms. Well, kind of. Looking around this place some more, there don't seem to be any birds at all, actually. Indeed, it's just a tranquil track on loop. The best Night City has to offer is a slightly tinted glass room and a soundtrack. At least this place can be enjoyed in the company of others, right, dude?
Piss off, slacker! Another fucking weasel.
Ah well. So it turns out the best way to experience this place is by scaring everyone else away first. Oh, hold on. Ah, now isn't that just perfect? Now, for many of you, I'm aware that quick hacks are on your agenda for best gifts to receive this year, and well, you're in luck, because the Voodoo Boys can provide some excellent quick hacks. Simply hanging around by their HQ and engaging in combat as you see them can result in some excellent drops. What's more, they keep respawning, so you can technically do this an unlimited number of times. It takes a bit of effort, sure, but it is undoubtedly one of the best ways to get legendary quick hacks in the game. Speaking of, here's a little specific hidden encounter right under the Voodoo Boys HQ in this garage. A turret is going to engage you as soon as you open the door, so maybe take that out before you open it, especially if you're a lower level. Inside is a Voodoo Boy who apparently got fried whilst net running, too bad for him. On the bright side, it means we can get our hands on some rare bioconductors, an excellent tool for reducing the cooldown on our Sandevistan, among other things. Again, this one is great for players earlier on in their playthrough who are going with a low cooldown Sandy build. Edge Runners, of course, has made this a very popular way to play, so I hope this helps some of you. Venturing further down into Pacifica, we come across this enemy hideout. If you're up for a bit more combat, you can face down these goons testing out some of the cool new equipment we found in the process. Within this group is always going to be this dude, seemingly the leader, and he will always drop a piece of legendary gear. Now, this time it was the crafting spec for the Moron Lab, other times it's been other things, so I don't want to specifically label what it is, but either way, if you're on the hunt for some more legendary stuff, maybe a crafting spec you really need but can't afford because they're so damn expensive, head over here. There's a chance you might find it. It's likely at Christmas that at least some people are going to buy you new clothes, so why not do the same in Cyberpunk 2077? Well, by heading over to this pharmaceutical store in Watson, we're going to grab ourselves a free legendary jacket. Just head around the side here and open up this rather inconspicuous garage door. Inside is a polycarbonate tactical flight jacket, and it's certainly very shiny. In fact, when I equip it onto my Cowboy V here, well, I think Dennis Reynolds would be jealous.
I am the golden god of this place. I reign supreme. I
10 to go now, ladies and gents, and for the next few, we're going to be heading off the beaten track into the Biotechnica farms. Up first is a clipping issue, so it would seem. Well, that's just a little bonus gift from CD Projekt Red themselves right there. Let's try this again, and well, that was pretty damn near perfect. Now, here we have a conspiracy. So, from what I can tell, the people living here were stealing produce from the Biotechnica farms and selling it onto the black market. Long story short, it seems when their new supervisor came in, he had the entire group killed. As usual, however, there's at least very decent and, most importantly, free loot left lying around for us to salvage. First up, we have a nice Street Brawler progression shard here, which is going to contribute nicely towards those Beat on the Brat missions. Then, better still, just inside, we have a small box containing a legendary trajectory analysis mod. This is absolutely worth having, as it'll increase our headshot bonus damage by a massive 25%. Now, that's going to start getting our comrades' hammer damage up into the hundreds of thousands, something we totally need, obviously. Slightly further into the vast stretches of food labs, we're going to be driving past this body. Now, you might want to drive along this straight a little bit slower, since it's very easy to miss, just like I did here. Lying on the ground is the body of Samuel Morton, a reference to Dave Bautista's character Sapper Morton from Blade Runner 2049. Samuel Morton made the corporate wanted list for smuggling people from the moon to Earth. He'd been hiding out here for a while, it seems, before finally being found out. And by people with some pretty heavy looking equipment, judging by the state of this door. Now, he has an electrical damage blade mod, but better still, these legendary titanium solo Techgogs. They look very cool and have a decent armor rating. What's not to love? Further again out into this region, and we have our final encounter. A very large vehicle, and hold on, these guys look somewhat familiar. Yes, this is of course a very obvious reference to Mad Max Fury Road, with Tom Hardy here wearing the mask he had in the movie, Charlize Theron as Furiosa, and in fact, the shard we read refers to her as Charlize Fury, a beautiful amalgam between the actress and movie title names. What's more, they're trying to smuggle some girls away from one place to another in a big car whilst being chased, which is a very basic, but probably perfectly fine way to sum up the movie itself. Honestly, it's like they spend the whole movie driving away from this place and then near the end they say, oh, you know what, let's go back. It made absolutely stupid sense, and I loved it. Easter egg aside, be sure to pick up the Nekomata Tech Sniper Rifle, as this one in particular fires 2 rounds at once, making it somewhat unique. And if you're earlier on in your playthrough and need a sniper, this is a good contender. Tech snipers can fire through walls just like the Comrade's Hammer, which is another brilliant ability. I've left these next 3 higher up the list since hopefully by now you might be a little more prepared for the battle to acquire them. Down in the southern Badlands is this very large Wraith camp. Now, the Aldecaldo storyline will send you here anyway, but it's defo worth returning to, as I don't know even if these things are acquirable during the main story. Approaching the camp will trigger a fight with a lot, and I mean a lot, of enemies. Very few places in the game get as crazy as this as far as I know. In fact, this might be more fun to do with a stealth build, actually, now that I think about it. Regardless, I fought through the countless groups of foes with nothing but some revolvers, coming off of the super powerful revolvers from the last video. Now, we firstly want to look out for a guy with legendary loot. You'll notice the golden orange square on his body. Aha, gotcha, problem solved, and now we have the Problem Solver, a modified power submachine gun which, quote, removes all safety and reason by firing almost 1,000 rounds per minute, end quote. Indeed, using this thing, you realise that all reason was removed. It's so fast firing that the recoil is utterly dire. Though I must confess my current build isn't optimised to this kind of gun whatsoever, and I'm sure it could be improved. Either way, it's certainly a very unique gun and definitely worth holding on to. Inside the compound now for our next 2, both are located in chests, one in the main ground floor area and another down in the basement. They are the legendary Resist and Armadillo crafting specs, both very powerful weapon mods. Resist will decrease the duration of negative effects by 40%, and Armadillo will increase armor by 72. Damn, would have been nice to have these before assaulting one of the toughest bases in the game, wouldn't it? Well, you're in luck. Now, I know I may be cheating a little bit here, and I'm sorry, but I will make it up to you with some bonuses just after this. Just bear with me. By heading into the back of this rather obscure but definitely not very deadly marketplace in the Glen, we can also find the legendary Resist crafting spec a bit more easily. This again is for those of you earlier in your playthrough who do not want to fight a giant camp of enemies yet. Similarly, Armadillo can also be found up on this rooftop in Kabuki, not too far from where we found our Golden God jacket in fact. Brilliant, you're now more prepared so you can go back to that Wraith camp and acquire the other 2, which you no longer need because you now already have them. Well, at any rate, you're better equipped to solve the problem of acquiring the Problem Solver. That's one problem solved. Before I unveil the final free gift, and it's a good one, trust me, I'd first like to mention some of the best free weapons in the game, which I didn't feel I could rightfully add to this new list properly since I've already covered them on the channel. Nevertheless, for those who haven't seen my other videos and are simply watching this to acquire a bunch of free stuff, these are among the best free things you can find. I won't cover them in detail since I already have in other videos, so here goes in brief. The Comrade's Hammer, which I've mentioned several times in this video, is the most powerful gun in the game, and the crafting spec can actually be acquired for free during this NCPD assault in progress just over here. The Basing Chong shotgun crafting spec can be acquired after finishing the game and defeating Adam Smasher. Head back onto this boat in Northside and it'll be in this little box here. This thing is insanely powerful with not just high damage, but also very decent range for a shotgun. The Caliburn, of course, is the fastest car in the game and can be acquired completely free down in this tunnel in the Badlands. It belonged to a Night City vigilante called Merkman. 3 guesses who that's a reference to. And I've actually made an entire build video inspired by the guy, if you fancy checking that out when you're done here. The Shingen Prototype Mark V is another absolutely insane smart gun, with an excellent rate of fire and not nearly as much recoil as the Problem Solver. I'd heavily recommend it. In fact, it's now one of my favourite guns. Just march your way through the Arasaka compound, complete with guards and robots, and make your way to crate 667, and it'll be all yours. Last of these honourable mentions is Skippy, the smart pistol with an attitude. He can be found on the body of this guy over here in Vista del Rey. You'll have to climb into this alley to find him. Now, Skippy, aside from being one hell of a smart gun, might just be the closest thing we have to a constant companion in the game, other than Johnny Silverhand, of course. Okay, fine, Skippy is the best combat companion in the game. He makes funny comments when you do stuff.
Bloodstains can be removed using one easy trick and vinegar.
But also shoots people. It's good fun. Finally, the moment you've been waiting for. Let's wrap up this 25 free gifts video with everyone's favourite melee weapon. This can be acquired from Meredith Stout after romancing her in the No-Tell Motel and, well, how do I word this without getting demonetized? It resembles a certain appendage, because, well, it is indeed intended to be a certain item. Sir John Phallustiff's purpose was never to serve as a weapon, and that's what I find hilariously brilliant about this whole situation. I love the contextual notion that V goes, "Hey, Meredith, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to take this little pleasure toy you've got here and use it to beat down the corruption plaguing this city. Okay, cool, thanks, bye." And she's just like, "Yeah, that's cool, V. Thanks for the good time, and good luck with all the shit you got going on. Hope Sir John brings you as much happiness as he brought me." And you know what? Kudos to you, V. With a woman like Meredith, that's got to take balls. Anyway, I hope you're having a good Christmas, if you are indeed watching this video on the day of release, which I imagine most of you aren't. If you are, then, well, I mean, it's a great honour to be a part of your Christmas day, truly, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So comment down below any other free gifts from around Night City that I've missed, and then this video can technically be comprised of an even bigger list. Finally, don't forget to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, as it really helps me out. And also, if you haven't already, then please do consider hitting that subscribe button and the bell to stay up to date on all my future videos. Thanks for watching. I'm Sam Bram, and I'll see you very soon in another video.